What's going on YouTube? So when GMC introduced the redesigned Acadia, many were impressed by its new size and especially its luxury. But now there is even more luxury with this new Denali Ultimate trim. And we want to know, is this the most luxurious family three-row? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Let's kick off this review with a quick spec dump. So under the hood of every Acadia, including the Denali Ultimate, is a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine making 328 horsepower. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and with all-wheel drive, the combined fuel economy is 21 mpg.
Now, the base price of the Acadia in 2026 is about $44,000. And if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, later on, we're going to show you the performance of this powertrain. While we're on that test drive, we'll also get things like our sound level reading so you can see how quiet this Denali Ultimate is.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood because there's a lot of exclusive details to show you on the outside as well as the inside. So like I was saying, the Denali Ultimate is new to the lineup for the 2026 model year. And as the name implies, this is the ultimate expression of the Acadia now and kind of adds a lot of the details that you saw on other Denali Ultimate products. And we'll work our way through those, but that begins up here in the front. So you can see that we've got that signature Denali grille, but we have the special Ultimate finish. So this is called Vader Chrome. It's kind of a smoky chrome as well as the badging right through there, giving it a very distinguished look and also a little bit of a sporty edge matching with the Yukon, Sierra, and other GMC products. Now, as far as the headlights are concerned, you have a very premium full LED headlight arrangement. Projector LEDs through there. Also, Denali and Denali Ultimate trims get the dynamic turn signal indicator and entry and exit animations for both the headlights and the tail lights. Finally, down below, you have LED fog lights. As we walk around to the back, it continues with that mini Yukon design.
Yeah, I think it looks really good, especially here in the Denali Ultimate trim level. Let's break down some of the individual design touches. So we have a spoiler up here at the top, a rear window wiper, and then, of course, this whole center section is going to be blacked out for that nice sporty look. You also have very prominent Denali branding, so you'll know that you spent the big bucks. Now let's take a look at our taillights. Our taillights are going to be a full LED unit. As you can see, we have our LED brake light, LED turn signal indicator, and then our reverse light is integrated down here in the bumper. That's also LED. Speaking of the bumper area, I'm happy to tell you that you have quad exhaust outlets. I think that looks really nice. That's standard on all models. Also standard on all models is a 5,000-pound tow capacity.
Now the Acadia begins with 18-inch alloy wheels. However, as you move up, you can get all the way up to this right here, a 22-inch alloy wheel. It has an exclusive contrast finish here on our Denali Ultimate, again giving you something to distinguish from the other trim levels, and these are quite large for the segment overall. You'll notice we have some body color around our wheel arches, and then the lower part of the body here is finished in a gloss black. I think it actually would have looked a little bit better if they did the Denali Ultimate in a special body color along the bottom edge. Nevertheless, you have Denali branding right there, and as far as our mirrors are concerned, these come standard with all the features, including heating, blind spot monitoring, as well as auto dimming and power folding.
Now at the side of the Acadia, overall vehicle length is 204 inches, which makes this one of the largest vehicles in this entire three-row midsize segment. And as far as design touches, we do have traditional chrome on our window surrounds as well as our roof rail up here at the top. Now let's also talk safety. So when it comes to this, you're getting all 4 of your active safety features as standard equipment on every single Acadia trim level. Additionally, if you choose the Denali Ultimate where everything is standard equipment, you're going to get Super Cruise. That's optional on the other trims for about $3,000, but here on this top model, it is standard equipment. But guys, there's a lot to talk about and a lot of really nice interior details. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, now let's move to the inside. First, here's our key fob. It's your standard GMC key fob. You have standard smart entry and remote start on every Acadia, regardless of the price point. And then to get inside, there's no sensor behind the handle, so just press the button right there. That will unlock the door. Now, let's check out this interior, because this really is where the Denali Ultimate shines above all the rest, is all the details that they've added to the interior. And that honestly begins here at the seats. So we've got an exclusive finish for our seats. This is a genuine leather, but of course you have a lot of unique stitching and details throughout. And this is a special color as well. It's called Woodland Mahogany. So altogether, this makes for a very rich look. You can see it's got that brown and contrast design. You have color contrast piping with special cross stitch, and you even have the etching as well, which you'll see throughout the interior, and Ultimate branding in the seat itself. Now, it's not only just the design and feel of the seats, but you also have additional functionality, because this is the only Acadia that has massaging seats added to both the driver and the passenger seats. You also have memory seats, of course, like most of the other Acadias in the lineup as well. But let's go ahead and climb inside. And now that we're inside the interior, we can look at the rest of the cabin materials. Again, these are elevated over the rest of the Acadias in the lineup. So we have a leather trim through here with that nice looking cross stitching. You'll notice through the center section more of that brown interior with the etching inside of the leather. We also have an exclusive wood, which is open pore and super, super nice. Soft touch plastic along the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, this is all a leatherette finish with a stitching detail. More of this exclusive wood trim, which is very nice and has that Denali Ultimate etching of the mountains. We have more wood all through the center section, leather padding through here, and everything fits together quite nicely. Another exclusive touch is up here, we have a suede headliner. Now we'll fire it up with the push button start. Now jumping into some individual details, we've got our gauge cluster. This is the 11-inch digital gauge cluster, which is standard on all Acadias, and you can just press this button here to change several different designs, including the full screen map view. Also, Denali and Denali Ultimate come with a head-up display with plenty of graphics up there at the top. Now as we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got a thick leather-wrapped steering wheel with standard heating. Of course, it is also power tilt and telescoping on Denali and Denali Ultimate, and has the Denali branding right there front and center. Now, let's take a look at interior storage, because this is a large SUV after all, so we want to see how much we can fit inside of places like the center console. So we've got donuts inside, because that of course is our logo, and we want to use this as a volume metric and compare to the competition. Well, today we have 18 donuts inside, so that is a very nice number, certainly higher than the dozen donuts required to score a point. Now as we slide back this piece of beautiful wood trim, we reveal our wireless phone charging pad and a USB connection inside of there. A little bit of storage as well, and then you've got the large center pass-through. This is where the majority of your storage is, and you can stick just about anything down there. Of course, the shifter itself is up here on the column. It's the new electronic style that GM has been rolling out for a couple years now. You have paddle shifters on the steering wheel. And then when we go into reverse, every Acadia, even the base model, will come with this 360-degree camera system. As you can see, resolution is pretty good. It's a little grainy at times, but you have several different views that you can choose between. And just press that P there for park. And then, of course, really a lot of the interior functions are going to be right here inside of our big old 15-inch display. We'll kind of start our way down here at the bottom and go up from there. The bottom part will be reserved for your climate controls. These do actually have physical controls underneath of the display, so you can just adjust the temperature up and down for the 3-zone automatic system with those toggles right there. You also have some additional functionalities inside of here, including standard heated seats, and then you have available ventilated seats on Denali and Denali Ultimate trims. You also have right in there a volume knob, and this is another exclusive Denali Ultimate feature that I want to emphasize, because this has a special Bose Performance Series sound system with 16 speakers, which is above and beyond what you get on any of the other trim levels. And with that being said, let's hear if it sounds any good. Yeah, so overall, I'd say this is definitely a nice step up over what you get in the regular Denali version of the Acadia. This is certainly a very powerful sound system as well, with plenty of bass and really fills up the cabin nicely. Plus, you know that Mason and I really are suckers for metal speaker grills, and they have those beautiful detailed speaker grills throughout the cabin. Now, moving into our main infotainment system, I already told you this was a 15-inch display. It's standard on all models, and it's kind of integrated into the dashboard. With this orientation, it has a little bit of a different look than other GM products, but the software itself is still the same. It's an Android Automotive-based system, so you have Google Assistant, Google Maps, things like that built right into the system. You still have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well if you prefer to use those systems, and I'll show you what that looks like right there. And then as we rise above here, this is a new standard feature for 2026. It's actually the premium rear camera mirror. Even the base Acadia adds this now as a standard feature, which is pretty cool. Another standard feature, but this time only on the Denali Ultimate, is this panoramic sunroof. As you can see, it's got a power sunshade, which moves rather slowly, and the front panel of this sunroof opens up.
So let's check out the Acadia's rear seat. Now, when it comes to the rear seat area, that has been a strong suit for this model ever since it first came out. And of course, here in the Denali Ultimate, really all that's going to add is extra luxury on top of all the space that you already had. So let's go ahead and talk about the space first and foremost. We're looking at about 41.5 inches of legroom and about 40 inches of headroom. Those are really good space figures. As a matter of fact, it's one of the class leaders in terms of second row room. That's very good. And of course, I brought along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason I do that is so you can get a realistic knee room figure. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8". I'm 5'9". And look at that, we're sitting at about 9.5 inches of knee space. That's really good. Also, my feet can slide up underneath of these seats. Speaking of the seats, they do have the ability to slide forward and back a good distance, as well as recline a good distance to give you some extra comfort. Now, you may notice that there's a couple special things here on the Ultimate model. Of course, we have the same design seat as in the front, so you have the Ultimate branding as well as that map here in the seat back. As far as the seat itself, we have captain's chairs, which are actually standard on all but the very base elevation trim level. That's the only one that can get the 8-passenger seating. Otherwise, you will have 7-passenger seating on all of the Acadias, and we have a nice armrest here as well. Now, in the center area, we have 2 cup holders. Down below that, we have our own climate controls, which is certainly quite nice. And off to the side, really nice on a cold day like today, are the heated back seats. That's standard on Denali and Denali Ultimate. No ventilated seats, though. That's something that they reserve only for the Yukon. And then down below that, 2 USB-C ports and a household-style outlet and a little storage underneath of that. Now, one thing over on the door trim that you will see missing that I find kind of odd is the fact that there are no rear window sunshades, but the rest of the door trim is really nice with a lot of wood trim, that same beautiful brown leather. There's also a lot of practicality with the door storage. There's a ton of room for all of your items in here, and if you're curious as to where the vents are located, they are located up here in the ceiling. And now let's go ahead and check out the third row. In order to get back here, they have made it really easy. You just press that button, and that's going to allow the seat to tilt completely out of the way. Notice how the seat back does not move, so you would not have to remove a child's seat. I definitely like that. And let's go ahead and hop back into the third row. Now, in the third row, what we're going to be sitting at in terms of legroom is about 32 inches of legroom and about 38 inches of headroom. The headroom is particularly very good for this segment. The legroom is also pretty good. This is one of the biggest options that you can get in the 3-row midsize segment, so there's certainly a lot of rivals that are worse when it comes to the third row. However, there are a few that have kind of maybe done a little bit better in the third row, like the Toyota Grand Highlander, and the new Hyundai Palisade is actually really good in the third row as well. Now, I brought the ruler back here. There's not any additional knee room with the seat slid all the way back, but keep in mind you could slide it forward a little bit more. My feet can't easily slide up underneath of these seats. And speaking of the thigh support, this is actually quite good here in the third row. It could be a little bit higher off the floor, but overall it's pretty nice. There are 3 seats back here, and I'm happy to tell you, you get the same nice premium leather even here in the third row. They didn't cheap out on that. We have cup holder here on the side, a USB-C port, and there are also vents coming out of the ceiling, which some of the luxury rivals that you could even be looking at actually don't include, like an Acura MDX. As far as how it ranks on our third row rating scale, I'm going to say this is fit for the in-laws. All right, let's go ahead and check out the cargo area. We have a standard hands-free power tailgate on every Acadia, and let's talk about overall cargo capacity for this model. Certainly really good numbers when it comes to this. This is one of the biggest options in the segment, and the cargo capacity definitely shows that. So behind the third row of seats, what we're sitting at is 23 cubic feet. Behind the second row, 57 cubic feet, and as a maximum 97 cubic feet of space. That is really exceptional, guys. That is pretty much the class leader. It ties things like the Toyota Grand Highlander, which are the largest options you can get in this segment. Speaking of all the other options you can get in this segment, I'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. The reason you should do that is because we've looked at all the 3-row midsize SUVs. There's a lot of options. It's a very competitive segment, and ranked them in the 10 most important categories to this type of buyer. So things like the third row, the overall cargo capacity, interior luxury, powertrain experience, and value are all there detailed, so you could see maybe which options are the best in each of those categories. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, definitely check that out. Now, back to the Acadia, you will notice over here on the right side, we have buttons. That's actually to power fold the third row of seats, so that's certainly nice. The fact that you can actually electronically fold the second and fold the third rows down completely. And that's certainly very nice that they will fold completely into the floor after you scoot them around just a little bit. And let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures. Now, as far as overall cargo length, that's very strong for this model. Behind Drew's 5'8" seating position, 89 inches of cargo length. From behind the second row of seats with them slid most of the way back, about 53 inches of length. And then from behind the third row of seats, 22 inches of length. As far as the opening, that's really exceptional, 49 inches wide, and then the height is 32 inches tall. All those numbers are really good. Let's look at the load-in height as well. That's about 32 inches tall. Now, underneath of the floor, you will actually find quite a lot of additional space. So if you can't fit it in the actual cargo area, there's a ton of room under here. There is also a spare tire integrated underneath of the floor. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the GMC Acadia. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading. But first, we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, 60 miles an hour with this Acadia. So, like we were talking about with the spec dump, there's really just one powertrain that all the Acadias have with this new generation. That does continue for the Denali Ultimate as well. It's the new 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It makes 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you are familiar with this segment of SUV, you might realize those are pretty high power figures in general for this type of vehicle. A lot of them kind of fall in like the 275, 280 type of range, and this is a pretty big step up from that. And you can tell that in terms of the initial acceleration for sure, and especially with the feel of torque.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here in the Denali Ultimate, I think it's maybe more expected because you are going for the more luxury-oriented model with a higher price tag, but especially on the lower end to have, you know, well over 300 horsepower, well over 300 pound-feet of torque, I definitely think that's a nice element about the GMC Acadia. And like Drew said, it's really more than most of the rivals are going to be including. Now, it is worth noting this is the only engine option. There is no hybrid, and there is no, other option available, so I hope you like this powertrain setup. Now, one thing we will point out is we've lived with this powertrain a couple times in the Chevy Traverse, for a week, and it is a little bit on the louder side. So even though it is not strained at all, really, with the amount of power and torque it has, it does kind of sound strained just because it has that kind of coarse loudness to it as you accelerate.
there's a little bit more of a normal acceleration. Now, as far as the other element of the powertrain, we've got an 8-speed automatic transmission. This is a nice partner with this engine. Definitely keeps it in its power band nicely and is good and smooth.
Yeah. Now, as far as how power is routed to the ground, you do have standard front-wheel drive or available all-wheel drive. Actually, that's even here on the Denali Ultimate. You do have to pay extra for all-wheel drive. And let's quickly hit fuel economy. So for the front drive version, you're sitting at 20, 26, 22 mpg. This model with all-wheel drive is sitting at 20, 23, 21 mpg. So not horrible fuel economy figures for the segment, really. It's mostly in line with the base powertrain setups that most of the rivals have, but a lot of the rivals are now giving you some type of hybridized option, whether that be a powerful hybrid or a less powerful hybrid that does give you better fuel economy. So that's just something to keep in mind, that this is not going to have the class-leading fuel economy figures. All right, we are speeding up to 55 miles per hour so we can get our sound level reading in this top-end Denali Ultimate. Let's see how quiet it is on fan speed 1. 60.5 decibels is what we settled in at as our lowest sound level reading. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to some of the competition. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. Now, compared to some of its competition, that's definitely going to be on the louder end when it comes to cabin noise. I think, honestly, a lot of that would have to do with the kind of noisy engine that this model has, because otherwise it does seem pretty quiet inside of here. I also want to kind of point out it is very windy today, so that could be contributing to that louder sound level reading.
And that's our auto start stop system working. It's nice and smooth, but you can turn it off if you don't like it.
And let's also quickly talk about ride quality. Of course, for a family 3-row, that's an important element. This GMC Acadia, I've been quite impressed with. They do a great job of really compensating for those large wheels on the outside. We do have 22-inch wheels here on the Denali Ultimate model, and yes, that's a big wheel for this segment. And it does have a special suspension, so it's some frequency-based dampers when you choose the 22s on the outside, and I think it does a good job of compensating overall. When you hit a pretty good bump in the road, you will feel some intrusion, but it's not going to be a massive amount of intrusion. So I wouldn't say that it's going to be like an uncomfortable option for the segment. Also, I find these seats to be quite comfortable. I will just point out, though, the massage on the Denali Ultimate, I have to say I'm a little disappointed in. It's just the lumbar massage, and honestly, with all my big jackets on today, I can't even hardly feel if it's on or off. So I wish they had maybe included the higher end, like, massage off of the Yukon Denali instead of the lower end massage. All right, so let's get into our slam dunk and airball. Drew, kick us off with the slam dunk, which is our favorite element about the Acadia.
Gotta say, the interior, definitely they've done a great job of adding some special details with the Denali Ultimate that I think make this one of the nicest interiors in the segment for sure, if not the nicest, when we're talking about the mainstream options. Of course, you could also cross-shop this with some luxury options as well. GMC Denali is kind of in the middle ground, but it is certainly a very nice interior.
Yeah, I think they did a much better job with this as compared to like the Traverse High Country, which they really didn't change out much of the elements. This interior is thoroughly different here for this model. Now, on the flip side, what's our airball? Our airball is the price. This Denali Ultimate is certainly not cheap. We are sitting at just a hair under $68,000, which means that this really is competing, I guess, more in the luxury space as tested today. And some of the elements are lacking a little bit of the refinement that you would get from the rivals, like, the kind of the noisy engine. You wouldn't find that in a luxury SUV. And now let's talk pricing for the Acadia. Like I said at the very beginning of this video, we started around $44,000 for the base elevation trim level. The AT4 is $52,300, the Denali $55,700, and this Denali Ultimate is a hair under $63,000 as a starting point. That does mean that the prices do rise about $1,000 for the 2026 model year. And of course, this Denali Ultimate is, representing a new price point for the Acadia. We have the all-wheel drive example as well. $64,900 is our base price after adding all-wheel drive. We also have a $1,000 paint color, and then we have $1,895 destination. All told, we're sitting a hair under $68,000 as tested today. And if you're curious as to where this vehicle is manufactured, it is in Lansing, Michigan. Now, if you're looking to buy a GMC Acadia or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealer negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's talk about resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this GMC Acadia's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 55.8% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 21.6%. Now, it's worth noting those are actually pretty good resale value percentages. It's above industry average for all vehicle brands. However, it is still slightly lower than some of the Japanese rivals such as Honda and Toyota.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several reliability studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you the most holistic picture. In this regard, GMC is rated above the overall industry average for all vehicle brands.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you do have a pretty good one for the Acadia. So it's going to be a 3-year 36,000-mile basic warranty, a 5-year 60,000-mile powertrain warranty. You do additionally get one complimentary service visit. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the new 2026 GMC Acadia Denali Ultimate. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. We also cover a ton of 3-row SUVs. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.